is favored in every one of its games coming up this fall, not just by a little, by double digits.
Really?
In every single game. Ohio State is favored. And we don't even know who's going to quarterback Ohio State. Does this make sense to you?
Well, it does, because they're phenomenal talent, and you're looking about, I think they got 15 of 22 starters from last year returning. They've got an unbelievable quarterback rotation that we've never seen in college football. It's an epic rotation where you got Cardale Jones and Braxton Miller and JT Barrett. I mean, one of those guys should redshirt. But on the other end, when you look at it, it's absolutely amazing what they have collectively as a talent. And as far as rating goes and everything that I've done over my entire life, last year I thought Alabama was through the charts. It came out with a rating that was so huge. And they didn't really live up to that at the end of the year after the SEC. But the Buckeyes right now, with the talent and everything that they have, and then they got such a soft schedule, I would be so shocked. It would blow my mind if they did not make the Final Four this year for the college football championship. It's like one of the highest rated teams I've ever seen. And you're looking, their toughest game is going to be against Michigan State at home. They are going to be the Golden Nugget released numbers today, 14-point favorite, but other people say it should be as high as 16 and a half. And that is their toughest game. Michigan at the Big House, they're going to be a 15-point favorite. Wow. That is crazy.
Micah, for people who might not know, ran sports books in Las Vegas and would help set the lines. And I want to take a moment here to follow up on that we know that, or I know, people may not realize, they'll go, why are they favored by 6 points? Well, Dallas is a big Vegas team that people like to go to Dallas from Texas and bet the teams. L.A., you see the numbers are kind of off. When you were setting lines, when you were running sports books, and now when you look at it, who are the college teams that, and I can think of one that Mark Kiszla loves, but what are the college teams that the line moves specifically because people love that team? Is that making sense?
You mean the public teams,
yeah,
where you got to put extra premium on. Of course, like the Miami Hurricanes was always a team. Nebraska, you always had to increase. And in my era, when I started, and when you guys followed the bus, Big 8 football and all that, Nebraska was a team where you would have a rating, say they were 17 points better than Colorado on a season. You would make the game 20 or 20 and a half. Just as a premium. It's like a luxury tax just because of the public.
I was going to mention Notre Dame because that's Mark's favorite team in the whole world. And
yeah,
I would think every Catholic in the country will bet Notre Dame no matter what you set the line at. Okay, Notre Dame's playing USC. We got Notre Dame favored by 38 because they're going to bet it.
There's teams like that. And, yeah, as a bookmaker, you have to put that luxury tax on there knowing who the people are going to bet. So that's where you find value at. And you can, if you're looking to go against Nebraska or whatever.
What about Ohio State, Micah? Is Ohio State, based on what you and Les were talking about, is Ohio State now going to be a public team because everybody's going, ooh, they got three quarterbacks. With three quarterbacks, you got no quarterback, really.
Well, no, because you're looking at a team. You've got Cardale Jones. I would expect him to be the starter because he stretches the field out 65, 70 yards that Barrett or Miller can't do. But when they're blowing somebody out and they bring the backup in, are you kidding? I mean, all of a sudden now you've got a spread, so you're thinking they're only going to win by 30, 40 points. Now they're going to win by 50, and that's the tough part as a bookmaker. Because the backups are just as good as the starters, and this team is going to absolutely roll. And you can't fault them for having such a weak schedule. I mean, they don't play anybody going into conference play. The Big Ten is probably as bad as it's ever been. And you look at the Buckeyes, who they're playing. I mean, why would you want to schedule anybody? Because one loss, you're absolutely destroyed. I mean, you're trying to make the Final Four now. It's easier to get in than ever, but why play anybody? I mean, if you maintain your rating and your ranking all the way through, you're in. I mean, there's no reason to play a tough schedule. And so that argument of everybody, well, they played a soft schedule, you have to. Why would you want to risk? Why would Alabama risk playing right out of the gate? I forget who they play their first game. It's a tough game though, right out of the gate. I mean, why would you do that? Why would you risk coming out of the schedule with somebody when you have such a great conference schedule that's going to get you high marks from voters and ratings and computers going in?
You've laid out very, very well that going into this college football season, Ohio State's the prohibitive favorite to get to the Final Four. But just last season, there was some controversy that the Buckeyes even got in the Final Four. So what I want to ask you about is, I still get hate tweets from Texas and TCU about TCU didn't make the Final Four. Yeah. What chances do the Horned Frogs have this season of making all their fans happy and being in that Final Four?
They have a great shot, and they got the quarterback returning. I mean, he's amazing. I mean, they're one of the favorites coming in. So, yeah, I think TCU's got a good shot. And, you know, I guess they don't have the championship game like the other conferences do, and that may have hurt them last year by not having that opportunity. But I like TCU. I think they're going to be around towards the end there.
I would also, Micah, if you want to go in with me, I don't bet, never have on sports except horse racing. Would you go in with me, and you and I'll take an SEC team and bet against Mark Kiszla that a Big 12 team's going to be in the Final Four? I'll take the SEC.
You're going to take the SEC and give me the Big 12?
Really going on a limb here.
Whoa, Micah, give me the advice. Should I take that bet?
Micah, let me ask you one last.
The Buckeyes have always been kind of the underdog in the Big Ten and underdog, and I feel for the plight of the Buckeye fan because they've gone through a lot of pain and a lot of heartache. They didn't beat an SEC team for 9 straight appearances in bowl games until a couple of years ago, and then they had the win taken away because Terrell Pryor got some tattoos, so it wasn't even official. So when they beat Alabama last year, they climbed the mountain. But now the fans I see around Columbus and everywhere, they're a little cocky, a little more arrogant than ever. And I'm not sure that's so good. So, for instance, the last 3 games last year, Big Ten, they played Wisconsin, they played Alabama, and Oregon. If you would have parlayed that, all 3 underdogs, if you would have parlayed those 3 together and just rolled it over, you would have got 25-1 odds with the Buckeyes in that situation. This year, they're going to be favored in every game. There's no value. The value is actually taking their opponents with inflated lines and the luxury tax, as I mentioned before.
Sure. Micah, very quickly, if you will, if Tom Brady's suspension is 4 games, what does that do to New England's Super Bowl odds?
Right now, they're still 10-1, and Denver's 12-1. So it tells you a little bit right there. People aren't that concerned about it. I think it's a big deal because I think it'll probably go to 2 games. So I wouldn't expect 4 games, but I'm thinking on the road it's a little more difficult. Peyton Manning might actually have a chance of beating Brady at home. So we'll see if that happens there. I'm hoping it happens. I'm hoping.
He's a Broncos fan.
Yeah. No, I need that. I can't have Manning on the road in the playoffs, and I'm just not confident with that. I mean, Tim Tebow won at home, and I think Manning can do the same.
Well, Manning doesn't win much at home in the playoffs either.
Micah, thank you. Really appreciate your time once again.
All right, guys, have fun.
Micah Roberts, he is the gaming columnist for the Sporting News and the Sports Biz what?
I just want to know if a guest says the magic words, Tim Tebow, who has to pay?
Woody.
Okay. I'm glad that's established.
Sports Biz Buzz brought to you by Citywide Banks, a Colorado-focused business bank.
I put $20 in there the last time.
12 locations across Denver and Boulder, more than 25 services that your business needs, and a passionate supporter of Colorado charities all over this state. It's Citywide Banks where this show does its banking.